Welcome to the Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
All right, 11:01 on a Monday. Welcome inside the Lock Shop. Dustin Nielsen with you. Hus is going to be popping by as well. Pat Gregoire from Coolbet will be sliding in around 11:30 today. We'll get his thoughts on the Monday Nighter. We'll build a little Lock Shop partner parlay for the Monday Nighter, which will be good news because we're coming off Lock Shop partner parlay win over the weekend. Little 3-game money liner that ended up paying almost 6-1. And, we'll try to keep that riding here. We got a decent-sized slate in the National Hockey League tonight as well. We'll set that up. And we got an Edmonton Sports Talk exclusive that's already available over at Coolbet. If you click on the exclusives page, you will see Coolbet exclusives, Edmonton Sports Talk exclusives, the lacrosse classified parlay, and the off the crossbar parlay. If you click on the Edmonton Sports Talk parlay, that is from the Nielsen Show this morning. Boston Bruins -1.5 tonight against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Jackets looking to bounce back after letting one slip away against the Hurricanes yesterday. And Justin Fields to throw an interception in the game. That pays plus 355 if you want to hop in on that bad boy. We will get to the Bears and the Vikings. We'll obviously work on a few player props and put together a little parlay for tonight as well. Overall, though, I'd say it was, I think we classified as a really nice weekend inside the Lock Shop. Hus joins us right now. Hus, how you doing, buddy?
Dude, I'm doing great. Yeah, it was a hell of a weekend. Anytime the partner parlay cashes for the people,
feels good. Feels real nice. Spirit.
And as you tweeted yesterday, I was pretty much a no sweater. I mean,
yep.
Listen, the first half of the Pittsburgh-Cincy game was a bit of a struggle, but Pittsburgh was actually moving the football. I mean, they had that bad Jaylen Warren fumble that cost them after potentially, I think many people thought they'd actually scored before that, but decided not to challenge it. But Pittsburgh does it again. I mean, they come back with a strong second half. Their defense steps up big time. I mean, no Joe Burrow, no hope for the Bengals. And then, I mean, that the Broncos and Rams picks, which were really short numbers. I think they were kind of 1.5 point spreads on both sides.
Yep.
Easy peasy. I mean, obviously he's paying most attention to the Chiefs-Raider game and the Bills-Eagles. And it was great because we just kind of look over the score. We good and move it on. And, I got that when we dropped it on Friday's show, it popped up at plus 580. I know there was a little bit of movement towards the Rams and towards the Broncos over the course of the weekend. So I think that affected the number a little bit. But I'll be honest, I was looking to add a little bit to the card on Sunday morning, and I like the Lock Shop partner parlay so much, I bet it again at plus 525. So I had faith. Shout out to everyone who rode, and overall, pretty interesting week. I think we're really starting to see the teams, that we expect rolling into form here in this most important part of the season. Although I got to tell you, and I know is Pat's jumping on with us a little later.
Pat's going to pop on around 11:30, 12:30 Winnipeg time.
I'm sure he's choked. The Bills absolutely should have won that football game yesterday. I mean, the 2 misses by Tyler Bass were absolutely huge.
Yep.
And credit to the Eagles for finding a way again to win. By the way, have you looked at the lines yet for next week?
I have not looked at the lines for next week yet.
Okay, well let me ask you this. Game of the week, without a doubt, is the Niners at the Eagles.
Oh.
Eagles 10-1. Niners, I guess, 8-3 right now. In Philly, what do you think the line is for this game?
Eagles -2.5.
Niners -2.5.
What? Really?
Yeah.
So what's going on there?
Well, I think that the bookies
wow.
And I personally hold this opinion as well, think that the Niners are better than Philadelphia.
Wow.
I was still shocked that the Eagles are a home dog at 10-1. I'm not sure there's ever been a 10-1 home dog in week 12 or week 13.
That's a really good point. I wonder if there ever has been. I mean, it's got to be few and far between. Because, this is interesting then, because this is, like you said it as well, and I've said it multiple times, like the Eagles find a way. So when we say the Eagles find a way, it's like, well, they're not that great, but they've only lost once all year. Like they found a way against some pretty darn good teams, right? So, I'm a little surprised that the Eagles are a dog at home. I know the Niners are good. They're great. But the Eagles as a dog at home, that does surprise me quite a bit. Which way do you think? So that's a 2.5 right now. Niners, 2.5-point road favorites.
Yeah.
How do you think that line moves? What do you think happens here, Huss?
Well, that's a great question. I have a feeling that there'll be some money coming in on Philly, probably right now. Like, I think maybe, but I do think the Niners are better. And to be honest, I'll be on the Niners in that game. So, I mean, I don't know how much it'll come down because I'm sort of the opinion that they got it right because I think the Niners are the best team in the NFC. But again, it's a very, very, I'm sure making that line was tough. There'll be so much action on this game on one side or the other. But the Niners, when we saw what they did to Seattle last week, like they had their little blip earlier on with those weird losses. Cleveland and Minnesota, they're coming right now. And I think this might be a real reality check for the Philadelphia Eagles. I was hoping Sirianni was going to get his yesterday, but they somehow managed to get out of the straitjacket and escape the Buffalo Bills. But I wanted to bring that up if you hadn't seen it yet, because I like you, was a little surprised. Like I thought maybe it would be a pick 'em or something.
Well, that's what I was kind of thinking. I was thinking, like the way I viewed it, you give the Eagles the 3 for being at home, a little bit of an advantage on the other sides of the Niners, so put it at 2.5. Very much surprising me that it's 2.5 the other way. Yeah, wow, that's interesting. I'll be very fascinated to see how that line moves. Obviously, a massive, massive game again for the Philadelphia Eagles, but they've delivered in some of these situations already this year. I want to get to a couple of messages in the Nasty Chat. You can also, of course, text us anytime, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. At the end of this hour, Winnipeg Sports Talk will start with Huss over on the Winnipeg Sports Talk YouTube channel, and we will have the oil stream right here. Of course, the Oilers are fixed now. We'll get to that when we take a look at the NHL odds for later on today. Half a dozen games in the NHL slate. Drew in on the Nasty Chat says, the boys, 7-game parlay at 30 times. Drinks on me again. I owe ya. So I like that. That's a happy lock shopper hitting a 7-game parlay. Beautiful. Love it. Big Uke was in the Nasty Chat. His message got retracted, but he was down in Vegas at that football game, so he watched the Chiefs take care of business. And D. Flange says, I picked up Kyron Williams off waivers last week for free. I'm not sure someone would have dropped him, LOL. So that's a nice one to get on waivers at this point of the fantasy football season. Lucky duck.
That's a tough look. Guy gets hurt for a couple of weeks. You drop him because you need somebody else, and then he goes off for 30-some points. Stings
a little bit. Huss, what? Go ahead.
Mark in the chat as well. We got to give a shout out to Pat, who'll join us later. But Patty G's Tees has now gone back to back as well. Nicely done for
Gotta love that.
Plus 180.
All right, let's get to a few of the other games from yesterday. The Chiefs, I had them at minus 8.5. They end up covering. It wasn't a great start, but then it just kind of seemed like a little bit of a wake-up call. Hey, Huss, and it was like, okay, let's go take care of business here.
Well, for sure. But I'll be honest, I was freaking out when they were down 14-zip.
You were? Really?
The Raiders had the ball the entire first quarter, got the ball, went down, scored. Chiefs went 3 and out, or maybe they got 1 first down and then punted, and then the Raiders went down again. And I'm like, particularly for someone that needed them to cover 8.5.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm like, whatever about the spread. We cannot lose this freaking game. But listen, it was the old Mahomes double. I mean, they got it together in the second quarter. They tied the game up. They got the ball back to begin the third quarter. They went down and scored. That is the Mahomes and the Chiefs offense we know. It was great to see Rashee Rice get a ton of targets. He did have one terrible drop, but redeemed himself afterwards with a beautiful touchdown run, which was all yards after the catch. A couple other beauties on the sidelines. So that was really nice for Kansas City to get going. And then you know what was interesting? Now, listen, I was watching the Jets Nashville game most closely last night.
Yeah.
We had there was not much going on in that game. I was with a couple guys that had over bets in that one, and that one never even got off the ground when it came to an over. I mean, 13-3 late into the game. Chargers got that touchdown. Baltimore gets one at the end. It wasn't even close, but not a particularly impressive performance for Baltimore either. And while the Ravens are the number 1 seed right now because they played the extra game, they're on their bye week this week. You know, you look at the top of the AFC, and I mean, everyone will have their own biases. I certainly do. However, there's a number of teams that you can sort of put in as, legitimate, contenders for that 1 seed. Jags as well. We should talk about that game. That was one of the games of the.
It lived up to it, didn't it? It really did.
Man, CJ Stroud did you see the field goal to tie it up at the end?
No, I didn't see that. Wait,
Amendola. So I
watched most of that game. I'm trying to think.
Houston was down 10. They get the touchdown. They force the punt.
Get the ball back. Yep.
They get it back. They go down again. You were talking about the last minute. Big sack on Stroud. Pushed them back around midfield. They got enough yards to at least give them an attempt. Amendola, who is 0 for 4 from 50 or more in his NFL career, comes out to kick a 58-yarder.
Oh boy.
Nails it right down the pipe, and it hits the center bar and comes out. They were that close, like literally 3 or 4 inches more distance, and that one goes to overtime right now. So huge win for Jacksonville, who's now fully in the driver's seat.
They got some breathing room in that division. Now, the Colts have somehow weaseled their way in between the Jags and Texans, eh?
Yeah, I don't know. Who do the Colts have coming up? At the Titans, at the Bengals, home to the Steelers, at Falcons, home to the Raiders, home to the Texans. Gardner Minshew could be in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's not – I mean, that could come down to that game against the Texans, really.
I'm a lot higher on the Texans than I am of the Colts. I will say that. So,
I think you have to be by default. Just the C.J. Stroud energy and some of the weapons that he has there. They're fun to watch. The Texans are fun to watch, and they've turned it around here this season. 6-5 right now. Colts at 6-5. You mentioned the top of the AFC. The Dolphins are at 8-3. The Ravens are at 9-3. The Jags are at 8-3, and the Chiefs are at 8-3. Man, that could be and then Pittsburgh and Cleveland, they're at 7-4. I don't see them trending up into that top group, but that top group is still pretty formidable.
It absolutely is. And I think you can make an argument for all of those teams. The one thing that I do like is that the Chiefs, if these teams finish tied, the Chiefs will have the 1 seed, and we will once again have the Arrowhead Invitational, aka the AFC Championship game in Kansas City. The Chiefs have the Sunday nighter next week in Lambeau, and then come home for a game against the Buffalo Bills.
Ooh.
And if the Bills had won that game yesterday, I think they're very much live. But I mean, at 6-6 right now with the schedule coming up, they're in a really, really tough spot. It's crazy to think, especially after the way the season started, that Cincinnati and Buffalo could miss the playoffs. And we're talking about Houston and Indy and Cleveland with no quarterback and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And let's not forget about the Denver Broncos, who are right there in the mix as well.
And have been rolling.
Won 5 in a row. There's a whole bunch of mediocre teams battling for some of those wild card spots right now, but that top 4 seems pretty established. Baltimore, KC, Jacksonville, Miami. Those will be the division winners, I do believe. And all those other teams battling for those wild cards.
Anything else from the National Football League, Hus, or do you want to slide over, hit some hockey, take a look at the slate tonight, and then recircle back around when Pat joins us on the NFL?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Let's talk a little puck right now, and then we can make some picks for the Monday nighter when Patty joins us. We actually got a few games tonight. By the way, I always like to ask you this, and I've been making a point of asking you when things have been a complete disaster over the last little bit. How fired up is everybody in Edmonton after the game on Friday was the game? I mean, to go into Washington and win that way, 5-0, you get a shutout. and then just blow the doors off the Ducks on the weekend. I imagine spirits are cautiously optimistic around there.
It
that
all
maybe they'll
comes
get back in
down
it.
to a game tomorrow against Vegas before heading out to take on the Jets. Vegas has not been great lately. They've been shut out 3 of their last 6 games. Probably playing their least impactful hockey of the season right now. But if the Oilers were to beat Vegas, man, that's a full-blown wagon of they're back. So Connor McDavid, 9 points in the last 2 games. That'll certainly help. The power play seems to be going a little bit. They've held the last 2 teams to less than 3 goals in both of those games. Little Stuart Skinner shutout on Friday. And Friday was great because we were having our watch party, and we were on that 5-1 EST parlay we put together in the morning. And it was basically a no sweater. It was awesome. That was taken care of by the middle of the second period, just needing them to hang on. So that was a nice way to head into the weekend. And then the Ducks right now, man, the Ducks are brutal. So they pumped them last night.
We it was so funny because we finished up Winnipeg Sports Talk. We always go a little longer on Friday. And then I knew you guys were doing the watch party, so I threw the football game on and jumped on that. And then I looked at the score and went, wait a second, Bouchard, Draisaitl scored. McDavid's in for a couple. I think I texted you. I'm like,
Yeah.
Has that parlay basically already cashed as long as they end up winning this game? And that was a yes.
Just had to hang on for the win, man.
Like
that was
partner
perfect.
Parlay. We had we're throwing a few nice ones into the exclusive.
Yeah, some
lately.
5s, some 6-1s. I like that. Probably leads in well for whatever we're going to put together with Pat in the National Football League tonight. So we got that going for us. You did say for a Monday, man, we got a decent little, what is it, half a dozen games in the National Hockey League tonight. Capitals and Sharks, Golden Knights and Flames. So Vegas playing down in Calgary tonight before coming up to Edmonton tomorrow. The Bolts and the Avs. That should be an interesting game. Florida and Ottawa. Sabres and the Rangers. And then the Boston Bruins and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Hus, I'm going to bring up the starting goalies, but is there anything that jumps off the page for you right away?
Well, actually, yes. The Vegas, and man, that's a nice spot for the Oilers to have them tomorrow on the second end of back-to-backs as well. You mentioned that the Oilers, the Vegas Golden Knights haven't been playing particularly well as of late. I kind of look at this as an opportunity to get Vegas at a pretty nice number against Calgary, who's coming back after a tough loss on the weekend to the Colorado Avalanche, starting off a homestand, coming off of the road.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, this number is minus 140, right? Right now, it's minus 114. You know,
listen, exactly. And here it is. They got shut out at home 2-0 by Arizona on the weekend. Like, that's their last game. Like, knowing Cassidy and knowing that team, they're going to come in a very ornery mood tonight. But to be honest, I'm leaning towards taking Vegas for the play of the day to hopefully kick things off with a nice win. But yeah, it's such a short favorite at minus 114. I mean, I still think that Vegas is another level up than Calgary. Calgary's sort of been up and down. This is a time for Vegas to get right, especially considering that matchup against Edmonton the following night.
I do like that. I threw one out today. It ended up being our cool bet hotline of the day if we were thinking of building a little NHL parlay tonight. I do like that Golden Knights play, and you're right, getting them a minus 114 is just I mean, that's a pretty good number for a Golden Knights team that is a point out of first place in the National Hockey League. The play that I like tonight, I'm interested to see where you come out on this spot. Columbus had that 2-0 lead last night, and Carolina scored 3 goals. Actually, it was great for me because I had a Carolina, Edmonton, Kansas City Chiefs money line parlay for a big chunk. And the Canes were down 2-0, and I was like, damn it. Like, they totally screwed me. And then I didn't realize that Carolina came back and won that game. I was hosting post-game show last night. I'm going over the scores, and like midway through the scores, I was like, "Oh, Carolina came back and won 3-2." So that's a good night right there. I think this is a tough spot for the Blue Jackets after letting one slip away. Boston Bruins come rolling in here. Second half of a back-to-back for the Blue Jackets having to travel home. I like the Bruins at minus 1.5 on the puck line at plus 105 tonight. I guess I'm not sure of where the Blue Jackets are from a resiliency standpoint. Maybe they're pissed off, but I think that's a tough spot to be in, letting one slip away against a really good team and then having to play a better team the following night.
Yeah, they listen, they got a few wins. Merzlikins had a nice week actually in the net. I just know that from perusing the fantasy results of the last week on the old app. But I mean, man, Boston going into Columbus, they're just on another level than most of the teams in the East. Never mind teams like Columbus that are down near the bottom. Hey, what did you think of that 5K fine on Trouba?
I mean, I don't. Anytime there's a stick involved around the head, I feel like there should probably be some sort of suspension, buddy.
That one video or replay of it that looked so bad was getting all the run on social media. I did actually see another angle where it looked like two completely different incidents.
Yeah.
But for a guy like Trouba that has seen his fair share of NHL player safety on his caller ID, I was a little surprised that he didn't get a game or two on that. But 5K, no harm, no foul. He'll
be all right.
along.
Yeah. Goalies tonight. Let me quickly get through this here. Bobrovsky is confirmed to start for the Panthers. Korpisalo unconfirmed at this point on the other side. Swayman is unconfirmed. Spencer Martin will start for the Blue Jackets tonight. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen confirmed for the Sabres. Shesterkin labeled as likely right now for the Rangers. Georgiev likely for the Avalanche. Vasilevsky unconfirmed for Tampa. Aiden Hill unconfirmed for the Golden Knights. Markstrom is confirmed for the Calgary Flames. And then projected right now, but unconfirmed, Darcy Kemper for Washington and Mackenzie Blackwood for the San Jose Sharks. Anything else in the National Hockey League tonight you like, Hus?
The Sharks, actually. I mean, I did watch some of that third period with Vancouver and San Jose on Saturday night. And the Sharks are, I mean, listen, he's sort of they're hanging in games and making teams earn it. I wonder how Washington is going to be. They had that embarrassing loss to the Oilers on Friday. Now they get out onto the road playing a team like San Jose where they're totally expected to walk. Listen, I'm not going to put this in any parlays, but I might actually touch the Sharks tonight. Sooner or later, they're going to win a few games at home. They look pretty good on the weekend, and Mackenzie Blackwood's actually playing quite well. The game, though, that I'm most interested in, see where you come out on this, is the Lightning and the Avalanche. I would love to see the Lightning beat the Avalanche because the Colorado is a couple points on the Jets right now in the division. But, man, they're looking good right now. They really, really gave it to the Calgary Flames on Saturday night.
Yeah, Colorado's looking pretty good right now. I think I like the Avalanche in that game. What is it, minus 142?
142 on the money
at home for Colorado tonight. Colorado has won 6 of 7, 3-1 over Calgary, 3-2 over Mini, 5-2 over Vancouver, lost to Nashville 4-3. Prior to that, they'd scored 6, 8, and 5 goals, 6 against Dallas, 8 against Anaheim, so they gave them the Oilers treatment there, and then 5 against Seattle. So Colorado is absolutely rolling right now. I don't know. Where do you come out on a Boston puck line, Colorado, Vegas money line parlay tonight? What do you think?
Oh, I think you just piqued my interest.
Yeah,
I think I'm in.
The way you said "ooh," I was just like, "Oh boy, he's very excited for this." So
let's see. We throw that.
Yeah,
down.
throw that together. What's that say?
5 on the Bruins.
Yeah.
Vegas. Ooh, comes out to plus 556. We can probably get that in at 6-1.
Probably get that in at 6-1. So, Patty, I know he's watching. We're gonna bring him in right away. But if anybody else from Cool Bet's there, let's lock that in. Golden Knights money line, Avs money line, and the Bruins on the puck line as we ride with some of the best teams in the National Hockey League tonight. 2 of them on the road, 1 of them at home. I don't know if Patty's just sitting insanely still, or
no,
he's frozen,
got it says connection problems,
yeah.
but he has entered the chat as Patty G's tease.
Oh, that's
2-0.
good. I'm going to just yell at Awana quick. Hey, Matty. Yeah. Patty just had to reconnect, so you're going to have to load him back. Oh, did he text you? Perfect. Well, that's how it's going to work. Hus, we're going to transition. Well, you know what? Let's talk some hockey with Patty here. We'll get confirmation that he likes our little 3-gamer tonight. If you're listening right now, you can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, or, of course, you can hit us up in the nasty chat as well. Mark actually had a question in there. Early lean on the Broncos versus the Texans. Saw Southside D5 says he likes the Texans in that game. What's the line in that one? Let me just quickly take a look ahead here. 3.5. Texans minus 3.5 at home. Just to answer the question, Hus, any early lean on that Broncos-Texans game?
The well,
3.5.
3.5 for Denver.
Denver, yeah, plus 3.5 on the road.
Oh, plus 3.5 for
Yeah,
Denver
on the road. I think I like the Texans. I'm a big CJ Stroud guy, but with the way Denver's been playing in their defense, I think I would probably lean right now at getting the hook at 3.5 on Denver.
Yeah, listen, I can see this being, Houston 23, Denver 20. Houston wins the game on the money line.
Yeah.
Denver covers the number. I think this will be close. The fact that is you're getting the extra half point. Yeah, you're right. I do like that. That's okay. So that's a Sunday afternoon game next week. Then the Cowboys back at it. Seattle and Dallas playing back-to-back Thursday games. Interestingly enough.
Oh yeah.
So, and the Cowboys are 8.5-point favorites in that. By the way, everyone that's giving Miami a hard time that they haven't beat a team with a winning record. Has anyone seen Dallas' schedule
Dallas.
this year?
Dallas just crushes bad teams.
No, they should have beat Philly. And they were absolutely in that game. But it's funny, and this is another way to maybe judge this San Francisco Philly game next week with why the line is what it is. They've got a common opponent, the Dallas Cowboys. Philly was incredibly fortunate to come out of that first game against Dallas with a win. Dallas got absolutely humbled and humiliated by the Niners earlier this year. So let's ask Patty about that line as well. I'm interested in his take on that game of the week next week.
There he is, Pat Gregoire from CoolBet slides on in, wearing all white. Off to Wimbledon today, Patty, or what?
The whiteout, yeah. I'm rocking the whiteout for the Winnipeggers. We've been having the West Coast wagon for our exclusive for Vancouver games. But
okay,
I think we got to take away the wagon term from this Vancouver's team and give it to Winnipeg, like the Winnipeg wagon. I don't know. They've been on fire, Hus. You've been talking about it. How nobody's talking about them. Nobody's talking about
That's
them.
the way we like it. We sneak up on the rest of the National Hockey League. We realize, hey, maybe this is the best team in Canada. You know what we are going to see, though, Thursday night, potentially a Oiler team that's heating up coming in here to the Peg.
That's going to be a huge game for the Lock Shop, man.
Hey, and you know what? We've got the entire that's the second game of our WST pack. So we'll have all the WSTers in a section for that one. Looking to be very inhospitable hosts to the visitors. It's gonna be awesome. Hey, someone was just mentioning in the chat the hockey hall. Fill us in on what the hockey hall is right now, Patty.
Yeah, absolutely. So the hockey hall, it's been going on since the start of the season. So if you go to our usual campaigns, promotions tab, click that there, head over to the hockey hall. Basically what it is you opt in with code NHLX23. And then for every $10 wager through NHL exclusives, you'll basically earn a 1 ticket into a raffle. So doesn't matter if you place a $20 bet on an NHL exclusive or a 10, 11, 12, whatever, as long as it's 10 for every one that month, you'll get entered into a draw for all bunch of prizes, tickets. We've got CoolBet merch, even some possible NHL merch as well. We had our winner for the month of October already. The November draw will happen, I believe, around December 15th, around that time. But yeah, so if you've entered already in the first month, don't worry, your new raffles will start every single month, and there will be one winner per month. So yeah, I see the chat's talking about that. So yeah, if you don't know, head to that promotions tab, click to the hockey hall. All the rules are there, but basically we're just trying to award some loyal cool bettors on betting on those NHL exclusives and entice some people maybe who haven't dipped their toes into exclusives. I might be barking up the wrong tree here because I think everyone who listens to the Lock Shop that are cool bettors are hitting up the exclusives.
They're just here for the exclusives, Patty, let's be honest.
Absolutely. I honestly, the name is escaping me. One of the winners was a loyal listener to the Lock Shop from our first.
Yeah, I think it was. I think his text handle. I don't know if it was Beef Nips or somebody else. but it was I got a text message into the group from one of the guys. For some reason, I'm thinking it was Beef Nips, who coincidentally just texted in right now. Maybe it was Beef Nips, maybe it wasn't. But he just texted in asking about some NBA betting. So that sounds like somebody that would have won that prize, you know? Like,
Yeah,
he's in on everything.
If it isn't Beef Nips, we got to get Beef Nips in on the action because that's an incredible handle. But they won tickets. It was tickets to yesterday's game. So
perfect.
They saw an absolute clinic put on by the Oilers, like you said. Yeah, parade is back on. The Oilers
always good to give away tickets for the home team against the Ducks, regardless of the city. Yeah, I think that works out really well. Yeah. For sure. Patty, quickly on we want to get to some NFL stuff for sure, but just quickly on the National Hockey League, Hus and I are on the Bruins on the puck line, and then Vegas and Colorado on the money line tonight. We put that together for a little parlay, but any thoughts on, half a dozen games on the NHL slate?
Yeah, so, I mean, I haven't really done too big of a deep dive in the NHL slate. I've been really consumed by what's going on in the NFL. Big game tonight, obviously, but also just even looking at some of the upcoming lines for next week, like you said, a couple fishy ones. That Eagles 49ers one certainly jumps out. But to be honest, I love the Bruins spot. Again, I really don't love betting puck line favorites, but this seems like a spot here where the Bruins they're just a team that continues to win, and the Blue Jackets are punching above their weight. Another team that you mentioned, like the Knights, man, like I know they've been struggling as of late, but would this not be the perfect get right spot? It seems like this is where they they go into Calgary. You're getting pretty good value on them. I don't know how many times I've seen Vegas at only a -114 as a favorite so far this year against a Flames team that's a pretty inferior opponent. So I like both those plays as well. Looks like actually this Avalanche Lightning game just quickly went off the board. Probably just a quick adjustment, nothing too crazy there, but I really like the parlay that you built there, fellas.
Yeah, so we'll put that in. And Duck Dad in chat mentioned that there's an NHL of the Coolbet exclusives, the Chalk It Up, which is the Bruins, Rangers, and Caps all to win. It's plus 225. And he said that might be a nice way to get in and cash a bet and get an entry into the Hockey Hall promo.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a ton of really good exclusives going on. We've got the NHL daily exclusives, obviously all our Monday night exclusive. We've got an NBA exclusive in there, and then also some multi-sport ones as well. Just to read a few, we're kicking with that Cyber Monday theme. So Cyber Monday, Tyrese Maxey, 5+ rebounds, DJ Moore, 5+ receptions, Nathan McKinnon, 5+ shots. That's plus 610. Another one that I like, the 2-4-1 special. Panarin 2 points, Addison 4+ points, and Jokic 1 3-pointer. That's plus 485. So click that tab. That's obviously where our Lock Shop partner parlay is going to be. I'm going to put together a prime time Patty's parlay as well, but you can check out all the other cool bet offerings as well.
Patty, we're going to get into the Monday Nighter, but we were just talking about everything that happened yesterday. What stood out to you yesterday?
Oh, man. What stood out to me is that this AFC, man, you talked about how top heavy it is. If the Bills find a way, and of course I'm turning this into a Bills conversation. If the Bills find a way not to get into the playoffs this year, out of all years, this is a colossal miss. Has there ever been, I don't want to say an easy path to the Super Bowl, but normal. Oh, God. I mean, that right there, I like the path for some of those top teams. Has it ever been easier? Like normally when you're talking about the AFC, you've got the juggernaut that is Kansas City. They're obviously still there. You've got Joe Burrow and the Bengals, who are a low seed that find their way, just absolutely grinding it through. Yeah, Jacksonville atop of the division right now, but really, like, how good are they at an 8-3 team? The Dolphins, my thoughts on them, unbelievably fraudulent. And then you look at the wild card, like the Colts are in the playoffs right now. We know the Steelers are not a playoff team. The Browns, if they can even limp their way into the playoffs. No Myles Garrett now, no quarterback. The Pets' heads are falling off. Like, this is unbelievable. And if the Bills cannot find a way to get into the postseason, like, I think that even if they get in at a wild card, they don't get the division, because I honestly think you can kiss that away at this point. This is a massive, massive missed opportunity for this group. And Sean McDermott should be feeling the heat on his seat, but I think Brandon Beane, this ownership, has to look at making a change at the head coaching position, because they keep saying Josh Allen is 0-6 in overtimes, which is very true. But when you look at a lot of those games over his career, or these games of the year, the crazy games against
the big ones,
they find a way to lose. And when you look at Josh Allen's stat line, normally, he did everything he could do. And most of the time, you think of the 13 seconds against KC. You think of yesterday with the timeouts debacle, allowing it always seems to come down to the defense not being able to step up. And who is the play caller on defense? Who runs that defense? It's Sean McDermott. He just cannot find a way to win those big games.
The other thing about that was that, Tyler Bass misses those 2 field goals. Like,
Awful.
There's no way the Bills should have lost that game. But now they are. Patty, they are 6-6 right now.
Tough schedule.
And you go to the standings. You go to the standings as they stands right now. They are 10th in the AFC, behind the Broncos, the Texans, and the Colts. Which again, the Colts have a point differential of +1.
Yeah.
The Broncos have -34, but again, they did give up 70 in a game. So
the Bills are +101, and they are 6-6. If they miss the playoffs with that differential,
that is crazy. That's insane.
It is insane.
Yeah,
but it's like even that Patriots game. Like, people forget. Yeah, they were awful in that game, but they had that great offensive drive. They march down the field. They score the touchdown. All the defense has to do is make a stop. Don't allow Mac Jones to score there. And I get it. Matt Milano injured. Trey White injured. Like, you look at the man's loss, especially on the defensive side of the ball, they are banged up. But still, they play so well, like, in these close games. Like, they had the Eagles in clamps in that first half. And I know Nick Sirianni and this offense is going to make their adjustments. But again, time and time again, and it's not just this season. You look at previous games, you just look back at Sean McDermott's tenure, and even look at Josh Allen, like, his record in games where they win 7 points or more. When it's a 7 points or more margin, the record's crazy. But if it's decided within 3 points, it's like, it completely flips on his head. And I know Josh Allen's taking a lot of it, but one bad pass to Diggs yesterday. I think clearly that pass in the end zone to where Gabe Davis ran the wrong way. I do believe that it was Davis who ran the wrong route. Allen makes one bad pass. Yeah, of course, that's on him. But you can't say that game's on Josh Allen. You can't say that game's on the offense. It comes down to the defense, and it comes down to coaching, not making the right decision, calling a timeout to try to ice Jake Elliott. Like, that guy has balls of steel. There's no way he was missing that kick.
That kick was incredible.
That was amazing. Yeah,
59-yarder, and it never got up above halfway to the top of the goalposts.
It was a line drive. And then so now you only have 2 timeouts, 20 seconds left. You're on your 25. You don't even give Josh Allen a chance to move at least try it. Instead,
that was crazy.
Chicken crap, man. That is brutal. Absolutely brutal.
By the way, gang, for those of you that like to jump on immediately, the partner parlay is up.
A hockey one, yeah.
Bruins -1.5, Avalanche and Golden Knights tonight, boosted to +635. So much like the partner parlay for the football, opened up at one spot. We all got it, and then came down a little bit.
I'm already on it. I've already bet it before you even plugged it. As soon as Jake texted me, I hopped on. I was like, I get on this here. How can
Let's do it.
Hey, we got to get into the Monday Nighter here, boys. The show's been flying by. Let's just start with the number. We'll build a partner parlay here with obviously some player props. But Pat, any thoughts on this 3 points tonight?
If you just, without information, without like just kind of just blind, like, okay, here's the spread.
Yeah.
I'm like, Vikings all the way. But the fact that it's only 3, the fact that, 78% of the money and the tickets right now at Coolbet are on the Vikings. Man, it's scary to me, but like the Vikings are just a better team. Like, how do we not take the Vikings? Yes, Justin Fields is arguably playing for his career, playing for his job. But that secondary is awful. Like they can't defend anything. And the Pastronaut, Josh Dobbs has been electric. Like he's been great. This team is one of the best stories, I think, in the NFL. Kirk Cousins goes down. They rally around Dobbs. They rally around Creed. I love the story. It's just my dumb gambling brain is saying, well, why is it only 3? And don't go with the public because the public's hammering it. And here's the thing, guys. Sometimes the public's right. I mean, not normally that's a red flag, but sometimes the public is right. And maybe this is that time that the public is right.
The Bears have been competitive in some games, but then crumble late.
Yeah.
We saw it last week with the Lions, and all the Viking fans that I know were so pissed off that happened because they would have been that much closer to Detroit. But then Green Bay goes in and does them a favor on the weekend. They've got 2 games left head to head right now. So the Vikings, if they still, have hopes on winning the NFC North, must win tonight to set up those matchups coming up with Detroit in the last month of the season.
So if you told me that this line was like 4.5, 5.5, heck, even 6.5, I would still probably be like, oh, I don't know if I want to bet this Bears team. But the fact that this line is 3, like it's so fishy to me. So
that's the thing. It's very fishy. We're like, why is this just at 3? Like,
and shout out the fisherman himself, Jake Bolin Moss, who's been doing a great job, like, fish, like really sniffing out those fishy lines as of late. I should have asked him his thoughts on it because, he has caught a couple of fraudulent lines as of late. So for me,
it's just begging us to take the Vikings. It's begging us to take the Vikings. I think
I stay away from a side. I think I dive face first into some props, and if the Vikings blow them out, I'm not going to be, I won't kick myself too hard. That I should have went with the Vikings. So
I like the Vikings, and you know what? I just take the -2.5 at -120.
Yeah.
I mean, the difference is
just
like I could
totally
see this being. Listen. This says Push City written all over it.
Right?
At 3.
I know.
I mean, one of these divisional games that comes down to a field goal late in the game. So I'm going to get on the -2.5. I also think I like the over in this game because the Bears have shown that they're a live team when it comes like this offense. DJ Moore's getting it done right now.
Yep.
Fields finds a way to, be effective, especially against teams that aren't in that top echelon, and the Vikes aren't there yet. So I like the over 43.5. I like the Vikings -2.5. And as we get into players, I think there's 2 guys that I really like from a receiving standpoint tonight. I think DJ Moore has another big game. His total is 64.5. And I love Jordan Addison, 45.5. Addison's reception total is 3.5. I'll be jumping on the over there. DJ Moore is over 4.5, but it's -227. So unless that line changes and it's over 5.5, we get a better number. Probably will stay away from that. Oh, and wow, this Jordan Addison just in the last little while has taken a big jump as far as the total. Like I think it was like -130 about 20 minutes ago. Now it's -161. So unfortunately waited a little too long on that one, but I do like that. And you know what? We may as well, if I'm this high on Addison, may as well get him at +188 to get into the end zone tonight. I like that touchdown prop for the young receiver who is doing what he can do to hold down the fort until JJ comes back, likely in their next game.
Just a couple to add to that. I love DJ Moore tonight. I mean, I think he's getting targeted 30% of the routes he runs when Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Like Justin Fields does two things: he runs the ball or he throws it to DJ Moore. Let's be honest, that's usually how it operates. So I know the 4.5 number is like minus 227. If we want to throw it into a parlay, it's not the end of the world. We could also bump it up if we want to in a parlay. I do like your Addison play there, and I also like Justin Fields over the 50. Was it 54.5 rush yards?
I think might be up to 55.5.
Okay. I mean, I like it anywhere in the mid-50s. I like the over on that. I mean, he came back last week, ran the ball 18 times last week for over 100 yards. He needs to run the ball like 11 or 12 times, whether it's by design or by, just getting out of the pocket to hit the over 55.5-ish or wherever it's at. So I do like Justin Fields over on the rush yards. I love DJ Moore over on the 4.5, or even if you guys want to bump it up. Patty, what else are you looking at here before we lock something in?
Did you guys did I share my Google Doc with you guys?
Yeah.
For my notes? Because you're all over it. I love those. I love all those. And I think if I wanted to add another one in there, because both those are on my sheet with the Fields and more. The other one that I really like is pretty much anything TJ Hawkinson. I really do like his touchdown number. I'm kind of surprised it's only plus 175. I also probably will sprinkle plus 900 for the first touchdown, but I might have a heavy dose of all his props, to be honest, because, since Dobbs has come to town, him and Hawkinson have kind of really, built this good chemistry. He has 22 targets over his last 2 games, which is pretty remarkable. And right now, actually in the entire NFL, Hawkinson sits 13th for targets inside the red zone this season. So he's been a red zone monster, whether it's Kirk, whether it's Dobbs, but Dobbs has really used him as that comfort blanket. So if we wanted to add him into our parlay, I don't know if the plus 175 is a little too juicy, and maybe we throw a reception, or we throw his reception yards in there, but I like everything Hawkinson, but Fields over rush yards and more were my top 2. The Hawkinson one was my next best play.
Huss, what do you think? What else? What should we put together here? What do you think?
I guess I could be convinced to go to Hawkinson for Madison, although I think that he's getting more and more connection with Dobbs all the time. And I guess I see that there is a house callers of Moore and Hawkinson, both to score 1 touchdown or more at plus 660. But I will be jumping on a DJ Moore. He's at 2-1, and Addison is at plus 188. So, but if we want to keep touchdown scorers out of it and just jump on these totals, as I say, I like either of the Addison props. I'm with you guys on the other ones. And
why don't we go Addison? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, what was the number on Hawkinson again, Patty?
For which one?
For catches.
For touch or for catches? The catches were it actually moved up. It was 5.5 this morning at like minus 130 something, maybe even 140. Now it's up to 6.5 at plus 114. Ooh. Again, we can move that around. That's a lot though.
Yeah, that is a lot.
You know what? For a parlay, I'll probably play that as an individual play, but a parlay, Addison 3.5 at minus 160.
I like that. I think I like that better. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, to be honest, like the rush and the Moore were my 2.
Yeah, so let's go Fields over on the rush, and then over on the receptions for both DJ Moore and Addison. Huss, you like that?
Yeah,
okay.
Love it.
All right, perfect. By the way, there's some people in the nasty chat say they couldn't get any bets in on that Lock Shop Hockey Partner parlay. So just a heads up, Patty. There's some guys trying to get in on that. I don't know if there's an issue over there, but guys, they'll look after it. They'll look after it and they'll get it up. And then our Lock Shop Partner parlay for the NFL will be up too. So what's coming up on Winnipeg Sports Talk today, man?
Well, we'll recap the end of the winning streak last night. Tough 3-2 loss for the Jets in Nashville. Dave Poulin's going to jump on with us. Mike O'Shea spoke today heading into the offseason, so we will get a little bit more from Bomber Camp.
What was that, like his year end? Like, did he not talk after the Grey Cup when he came back? Is that kind of...
I mean,
it seems like a weird day to chat all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, they said that he expects, and maybe they needed more clarity on a few things, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts in that front office. He said he expects Walters to be back. They're talking about Buck may have the opportunity for a head coaching position. We'll see how that goes. and a few players that maybe have mentioned that they're most likely going to retire. So that's all. We'll kind of get to that with Jeff Hamilton, and Connor Rabchak and Remus and I are going to jump on. We'll do a bit of a round table talking about some of the NFL. Oh, and by the way, one thing I did want to mention to cool bettors and lock shoppers out there and Jays fans, seeing the reports today that the Jays are in on Ohtani. And I know that it does seem like somewhat of a pipe dream, but I'm smoking that pipe and I am here for it. I have seen in some sites it is as low as 10-1 now for the Blue Jays. So I checked the MLB numbers over at CoolBet, and if you click on MLB specials, it's the next team for Ohtani to sign a contract with, and the Jays are still posted at 25. Mm-hmm. So I got in on that right now. So if you want to have a nice little rooting interest in the baseball hot stove with the big fish coming to TO and the Blue Jays, you're getting a way, way better number at CoolBet right now. So I have a feeling with more people talking about this, that might go down. So there's my PSA. If you want a piece of the Ohtani to Blue Jays number, I'd get it now because I have a feeling that's going to go down. They usually just react to news stories, and the Jays are in the news right now. And Pat, that would erase like Atkins and Shapiro, all the ill will at the end of the season. They delivered Ohtani, who, by the way, much like me, big fan of Kikuchi. Can you imagine if Kikuchi was the guy that was the conduit to get Ohtani as a Blue Jay? Retire his number before even next season.
Build him a statue outside of Rogers Center, man. Put him right beside Teddy.
You got it. So watch for that too.
Enjoy the games. Enjoy the games tonight, fellas. But as I say, we'll have to do something special for the Lock Shop Bowl. Oilers at Jets. Yeah,
we'll get that sorted out too. That'll be great. Excellent. Boys, enjoy the rest of your Monday. Enjoy the Monday Nighter. Hopefully we can hit that parlay, which I feel really good about. So have a good show today, Hus. Pat, we'll chat with you later in the week, man.
See you, boys.
Later, guys.
All right, the oil stream is coming up. Right now, it's the Fantasy Football 5 here at Edmonton Sports Talk. If you have any fantasy football questions, now would be the time to send those over. So let's do that right now. 780-218-9999. We'll have about 3 or 4 more minutes for you today. If you are watching on YouTube, you can slide on in to the nasty chat over there as well. It is the Monday Nighter. I'm going to dive into some of these starts and sits for tonight. What do you need tonight? What are you hoping to get your hands on tonight? It's that time where you got to get in some pretty critical fantasy football matchups. I like both quarterbacks tonight as starters. I mean, there's basically four people tonight I really like in this football game from a fantasy perspective. I like Justin Fields. You know, he's going to run. He's going to find a way to be creative. I think Dobbs would be fine to start in a DFS situation as well. And if you're starting Dobbs in a super flex league, you're probably super happy tonight. If you're starting Dobbs in a one quarterback league, you were probably not ideal at the quarterback position. But still, I think both quarterbacks could have productive fantasy football nights tonight. The other two guys, DJ Moore, should be in for as good a night as you're going to get from the Chicago Bears as far as fantasy goes. And on the other side, TJ Hawkinson. We just talked about it on the Lock Shop. TJ Hawkinson's catch total set at 6.5 tonight. The guy is heavily involved in that offense. I wouldn't touch anybody else on the Bears from a fantasy perspective. You're starting Fields. You're starting DJ Moore. Maybe Cole Kmet. A little sprinkling of Cole Kmet, actually. I don't love him in this matchup. Maybe it's just because they got a guy like TJ Hawkinson on the other side, so I'm so infatuated with him. I'm not worrying about Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet, at tight end, you're probably starting Cole Kmet. Addison, to me, is a must-start at this stage of the season as well. And then I don't mind the running back combination with the Minnesota Vikings as well. So outside of the Chicago Bears, any receiver not named DJ Moore and the running backs in Chicago, I mean, it should be an okay game for fantasy. Maddie, what'd you say? You need 20 points from Justin Fields tonight? 21? You're going to get 21. Justin Fields will deliver 21 fantasy football points tonight, and hopefully some of you can come through in the clutch and get things done and start to lock up some of these fantasy football playoff scenarios. Outside of that, I mean, there's really not too much else from a fantasy perspective tonight that you're really going to like. Yeah, Komet's interesting. I was just reading a few notes and how last week against Detroit on the first drive, it was like Cole Kmet. And this happens. This happens a few times. This is why it's frustrating to be a Cole Kmet owner, because at times you're looking at it, you're going, boom, top 6 guy, lock it up. Dynasty leagues, you're laughing. Top 6 to 8 tight end at the dynasty position. And then there's other weeks where you're like, hey, remember you have Cole Kmet? Start passing the ball to Cole Kmet. So we'll see. I mean, it's feast or famine kind of with Cole Kmet in fantasy, and who knows? Maybe tonight. I just think there's be such a heavy target share for DJ Moore that you're probably gonna want to hop all over him tonight. At that point. The Fantasy Football 5 brought to you by our great partners at Century Casino Fort Road, the sports bar and lounge. Of course, Lieutenant Eric will be there tonight for this game. Swing on by. They got the loaded burgers on special tonight. You're going to absolutely enjoy it. They got a ton of screens there as well. 6 games in the National Hockey League tonight, plus the Monday Nighter. They'll have eyes on pretty much all of it at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge. Bison Mask Guy asking a fantasy hockey question, which... This isn't the Fantasy Hockey 5, but I'll help you out here. Dusty, do I trade Vetrano and Morgan Riley for Evander Kane and Noah Dobson, then flip Dobson for Bouchard? What are your thoughts? Well, my thoughts are this is a huge Oilers fan who's trying to get his hands on Kane and Bouchard. But I like it. If you could, why would somebody... I mean, now, is this a fantasy league where it's obviously not just straight up points? Is it just straight up points? Or is there more to it here? But if you can turn Vetrano and Morgan Riley into Kane and Bouchard, I like it. I like it for you. So, yeah, my thoughts would be pull the trigger on that one. Oil Stream is coming up. Are the Oilers back, baby? We'll get into that with the answer. The answer is probably let's see. Let's see if they're back. But they've won 2 games in a row. They look very good in winning both of them. And we'll see if that can continue against Vegas. Will somebody take a cheap shot at Alex Pietrangelo? We'll have those answers for you coming up here in the Oil Stream. Myself and Tommy Gazzola live right here at EdmontonSportsTalk.com on TuneIn. And if you are watching on YouTube, make sure autoplay is on. We are going to carry you right over to the Oil Stream starting momentarily. That'll do it for the Fantasy Football 5.